Welcome, everyone, to the Million Vegan Grandmothers podcast. And I today have the privilege and honor to introduce Susan Hargreaves, the founder of Animal Hero Kids. And I know she's in the middle of rebranding, so she can talk a little bit about that. And, you know, Susan, when I first developed an online presence in my vegan community, you were one of the first faces I've seen. And I was in such awe of watching you interview the children and really give children a voice that might have not been born in a vegan family, but decided to become vegan and supported the entire family in a very non-judgmental way. So I'm so pleased to have you here today.
Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here talking to you. And I'm curious where you first saw. I'm always trying to track where we are most effective. And Animal Hero Kids unites children and teens from all over the world, so they know they're not the only vegans in the school and that they're not powerless. And we are morphing to be an animal hero because, as everybody knows, probably once someone is 12 years old, they don't want to be thought of as a kid anymore. So that we get an exodus, like you calling me a kid, I'm a teenager. And then also a lot of adults think, oh, being an animal hero, that's not for me. That message is not for me, it's for kids. So we don't want to restrict anyone from our message. So now it's going to be an animal hero to all species of animals.
You are an animal hero extraordinaire, Susan. Thank you. Thank you for the work. So would you tell us a little bit about your history? And I've heard a little bit before, and marking where I heard you originally speak, I'm pretty sure it was at one of the Climate Healers convergences. Yes.
Oh, very good to know. Terrific.
Yes.
Yeah, those are lovely. I love the climate healers. They do such good work. Well, when I was 9 years old, which was a while ago now, I was taken into a chicken hatchery because I love animals so much. My Aunt Alwyn thought, oh, I'm going to take you to work today when we're on holiday, and you can see all the baby chicks being hatched. And so off I went with her, and she was a receptionist. She said, just go through that door right there. And I opened this door in this big metal sort of building, and there was these conveyor belts, and there was people sorting the chicks who had just hatched and putting all the males in these big bins that had these pipes from at the bottom of them, and they were gassing and suffocating all the male chicks as soon as they're hatched. I went over to the bins, and they were crawling out. Some were trying to crawl out from the bodies of the other dead ones, and I was horrified, stepped back, looked at this huge room, and looked to the adult in the room to stop it, to help, and realized that this was just every day for them. This was business as usual. And that was a shock. You might say that was my shell that cracked that day, the shell of assuming that oh, everything must be all right because we've always done it this way, and this is life. Nobody would actually really be purposely cruel to an animal unless they were like, a psychopath. And that was a big lesson. And I came full circle last summer. We were doing a Veganza Animal Heroes book tour and ended up back on that same land where the hatchery used to be, which is now a multi-use buildings. The hatchery's closed, and I did a presentation as Veganza Animal Hero to the school that is on the grounds.
That's
so
beautiful.
Yeah, I know. And it's so funny. And my Aunt Alwyn drove me there because I was on a holiday in West Yorkshire, outside of Hebden Bridge, West Yorkshire, and she drove me there. So it was so funny. So many years later, I'm 64. I don't know. I can't do the math. I'm going to be 64 in July. So however many years later, what is that? 50 something years later,
55.
I was back. Yeah. And it just shows how the world is evolving, that this chicken hatchery is now closed down and all these buildings are being used for like independent businesses that are not harming animals. You know, so
That's
so
great.
what change is happening, and my lifelong goal has been to help propel that change forward by opening people's eyes to what is really happening to other animals behind the slaughterhouse walls, in the transport trucks, in the forests where people are hunting, in laboratories, at circuses, in zoos. There are so many animals being harmed, confined, that generally people don't think about it because they just assume everything must be okay. And they are sort of like those workers in the chicken hatchery that day. It was business as usual. But then something happens. They discover something. They may discover an animal hero video of kids singing about a vegan world, or they may read one of my books. I've done 3 so far. One is Animal Hero Kids, Voices for the Voiceless, and it's won a Skipping Stone Honor Award. And I'll go into the schools and do school assemblies all about children rescuing animals, all species of animals, not just dogs and cats or wildlife. And because many people think, when they think of rescuing animals, they just think of dogs and cats or maybe elephants. And they forget about, well, they ignore the most abused group of animals in the world, which are factory farmed animals. So after every school assembly, the school gets a copy of this book for their library. Yes. So who knows what may happen to someone where they'll see something and they'll think, oh, I didn't realize that before. I never thought of that. I better discover more about this. I don't want to be cruel on purpose. So that's my goal, lifelong goal, is to create that sort of metamorphosis, or to just plant the seeds or create epiphanies, which I like to call vegan epiphanies.
Vegan epiphanies. You know, I heard you say when you were in that, you know, that those chicken farmed buildings when you were 9, when you looked to the adult to stop the abuse, and they were unable to for whatever reason, you know, it feels like you decided on some level, you know, some subconscious, unconscious level, that you were going to be that adult for many children.
Well, I don't want anyone to feel powerless. I was powerless as a child. There was a lot of animal abuse around me. We lived in Ontario housing in Canada, Toronto, Glendower, and there was a lot of abuse around me, humans and non-humans, that I couldn't do anything about. Being just a child, when I say that, being just a child, this is before a mass communication became so easy with videos and getting the message out. And really, I didn't have any examples of anyone that was helping animals really around me. And so I was helpless and hopeless at certain points, where I couldn't stop my dog being given away when I was at school, who was formerly in a basement and not ever brought out, when I was in 5th grade or something. So there was things that happened that were like nightmarish, that I couldn't do anything about. And it kind of underlined the fact that when I could do something about it, nothing was going to stop me. No ridicule, no teasing, no, bullying at school, or I was called animal crackers because people thought I was a little obsessed. They still do. So yeah, I think it really did have an effect on me, and as it has done and is currently having an effect on everyone who discovers what they didn't realize before. So it's like opening a Pandora's box, really. You can't put it back in, and you can't forget once you know the level of suffering that is happening right now as we are talking. So I really endeavor to give the best tools to people that will empower them to reach others. So that's why the Animal Hero Kids Voices for the Voiceless book is really almost like a humane education guide as well. If anyone wants to go and in their local area and tell stories from this book, no one can fault these heartwarming stories of youth rescuing all species of animals. There's nobody that can say, oh, you're a vegan, crazy animal rights activist, get out of the library. They can't do that because you're rejoicing and you're fostering self-esteem and you're promoting critical thinking. And I mean, I love going into schools and teaching first graders new words like whistleblower, you know, from stories where kids their age were a whistleblower, you know. So, and then the Veganza Animal Heroes, then this book is more for teens because it's like a novel that they call a graphic novel, which does not mean graphic like horrific, but evidently it's illustrated. I'm learning still. And so it has rescues in there. Like there's a rescue by the Veganza Animal Heroes where the pelicans rescue Lolita, who has been captive for 54 years. True story. And there's also vegan recipes and how to go vegan. And so this is for really adults as well, because it has those frequently asked questions you get asked by people. Like, for instance, what about the starving children? And if we stopped eating animals, wouldn't we be overrun with animals? So it really is like a guide as well. And it is uplifting because I do think that vegan activists and people that are vegan with their families and their workplace, they do need support, because sometimes it's a lonely world. I mean, it's not as lonely as when I became vegan in 1985. If I ever went to like a vegan event, I would know everybody in the room. It was the same 70 people, you know, every time. And I still recall going to the first event where I only knew a handful of people. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is change. It's happening. And it really is happening, you know. So
it really is happening. And you've been
yeah.
happening for a long time. How long have you been involved and promoting and being such a living force for Animal Hero Kids?
Well, it's so funny because that day when I was at the chicken hatchery, the workers were on their break. And I actually said to them outside, because I was living in Toronto, Canada at the time. And I said to them, this was in Yorkshire, how terrible it is that I didn't know all the chicks were being killed. I did tell them that. And I couldn't not say anything, you know, to them. They were on the break having cigarettes outside, and I was there all day with my aunt. And they said, well, do you know what Canada does? And I said, no, Canada clubs baby seals. And I thought, they do? I didn't know that. And they were clubbing baby seals, and they still do. And so then I ended up investigating that. And in 7th grade at John Buchan's, what do they call it? Junior high school. That's what they called it. I don't know what they call it now. They probably call it middle school. But then they called it John Buchan Junior High School. I organized a walkout against the seal clubbing. So that
amazing.
yeah, so that was like that was kind of that felt quite powerful when the teachers didn't even try to stop me, and they were just like, I guess, shocked. I don't know, because I had it all at a certain time, and through the grapevine we said, okay, at this time we're all going to walk out. And I started it, and then everybody followed, and then people saw us in the hallways, and they followed, and it was all to protest the seal killing, and it was much easier than I thought it was to mobilize people against animal cruelty, because I always felt like, apart from, as so many of us did, I think, in those early years when we were the lone voice in the room. So that was an important lesson, that we can, just hatch a plan it, take the steps, organize, and be successful. Yeah. And you don't need a lot of money to do that, really, though it does help. So funding is always a struggle for nonprofits. We're all volunteer, beananimalhero.org. So it's, I still have these dreams. I'm going to be 64 shortly, and I still have the dream of having my own education center that are school field trips for children, where they can meet some rescued animals, not a lot, so I keep it like easy to handle. And also they have interactive presentations, art activities, a vegan lunch, and it's a whole school field trip where we can afford to pay for the bus transportation. So I still have that. I still have a lot to accomplish, let's say.
Well, we might need to join forces, because Dr. Sailesh Rao is wanting an education system for young children all the way up through university. And I did an interview with Keith Tucker, who started Hip Hop is Green. And he has an amazing education program for the children. They're
in New York, and
planting trees. Yeah, so they're doing
it's wonderful. Yeah, he's really done a lot of good work. And there's another example of someone just deciding, okay, what can I do? And then planning it and doing it and being effective and reaching the pre-vegans. And that's who we need to reach. We don't need to reach each other so much, though it's nice to have support and for people to help. That's very nice. But generally, our message needs to reach the pre-vegans in a way that's not, where they say, get away from me.
And just enter with love. We're just entering with love. That's our entry point. I love my kids like there's no tomorrow, but they're not being raised vegan. And what I can do is I can make sure that when I'm caring for them, we only eat vegan food. And it's the hottest conversation for them. Like, they're 4 and 6, and they always are asking questions. And that's what it's about. It's about bringing truth and love forward and going down.
Yes. Now this picture book is good for them. That's their age. And that's the Veganza Animal Hero. And there's all this big brouhaha over the first mermaid that's out now. But we had the first mermaid, who's also vegan, that is a vegan superhero years ago, and she teamed up with Veganza to rescue all the animals. And this is a good age, a children's picture book, that is beautifully illustrated.
Oh, it's beautiful. Where are you available, Susan? Can people order them on the website?
The books are on our website and on Amazon. And also, if someone is a teacher or someone has a connection with their local library or Girl Scout troop or Boy Scout troop, or that has a, or foster group home, because this one has a foster group home teen in it, Phoenix. Oops, if I can show that. And she actually teams up with the heroes, the Veganza Animal Heroes. So if anybody has connections and they would like us to send them a book, then we would send that book to them for free. As long as they pay for postage would be helpful. But other than that, we'll send the book for free. And then they can send us a picture or something where they're giving the book to the school library, or and then it will join, because our mission with the books and the films that we do is to get them out there as much as possible. So what was wonderful is I had a call from a small town in Alaska, a mother whose daughter saw this book in the school library. I'm not the local library, not even the school library, like a small town way out in Alaska. And she wanted to help sled dogs, but she didn't know about the other animals. And she refused to return the book to the library. So we mailed her one, because that's reasonable. So you never know who might be empowered, or who might feel hopeful that, oh, look, there's somebody looks just like me that is doing something, so I can too. So we also have a university right now, a university level or adult film that's a documentary, and that's The Heart Whisperer. And I'll send you the poster so you could put it there, and or here, whatever. And The Heart Whisperer is a 16.5-minute original short documentary that has been curated by Sean Munson, who is the Earthlings filmmaker. And he has taken some all sorts of old news clips from Canada, CBC and so on, and created this documentary called The Heart Whisperer. And we screen it for free at universities, and I attend in person or virtually to lead a discussion. How far have we come in our treatment of animals? And has anybody learned anything that they didn't know before this film? And hands down, people are shocked at what happens to chickens in hatcheries. We were at an animal, it was actually a university for law students. Nobody knew about that. So that's what it's all about, is just opening people's minds and hearts to how they can be heroes to all species of animals. Hence the new name, Be an Animal Hero.
Everyone welcome.
Yes.
We were at Climate Healers and the grandmothers. We were going to invite you to screen The Heart Whisperer for our next convergence on the 5th and 6th of August, and do a little Q&A, because
I would love to do that. I was actually looking for that email in all the emails, and I had actually sent a message to Dr. Rayo, like, I have lost this message. Can you just tell me where I can find it? So yes.
Yeah. Well, we will get things to you, and we will be able to share that, screening The Heart Whisperer. What a beautiful title. What a beautiful title. Whispering to another's heart, helping us remember that we're caretakers, right?
Yeah. And people don't want to be cruel. They don't. If you ask someone, are you cruel to animals? Would you stop someone from harming a dog if you saw that happening on the sidewalk in front of you? Would you stop it? And they all say yes. I mean, I've been in situations where regular people, Americans, actually defended me when I was in the middle of helping an animal. That so complete strangers stepped up to say, hey, you know, she's doing the right thing and you're not. And I think that if once people know what is actually happening to animals in slaughterhouses and in transport trucks and in all these closed, far away places, then they're definitely going to cease their support of it, their financial support of it. So, because people do generally, they like to think of themselves as kind. And they are kind, really, often. So I think it's important. Monique Martinez, who is our wonderful artist for the Veganza Hero series, she always says she remembers when she was not vegan. So when she's talking to people, she remembers that she has not been vegan the whole time, and she was oblivious. She never thought of it. Then once she discovered it, that was it.
So how can people support? How can the grandmothers support the bee?
Well, what would really, well, there's a few things. We're always looking for volunteers that that could even help, like share our social media posts on groups, and there's different programs that we're doing. Like if anybody has any contacts at universities, if they could introduce us to them in order to screen the Heart Whisperer at their university, and we would arrive with bearing vegan food, free vegan food. And if it was virtual, we'd arrange it however possible for after the film and after the discussion to have the vegan fair. And sharing social media posts seems like a simple thing to do, but it's when you're all volunteer and you might not have the time to do that yourself, what ends up happening is your social media sort of stays at the same level. You know, you're not really growing because you're not putting that much time and effort into it. And anyone that's a videographer, photographer, graphic designer, artist, sewer, a seamstress that can sew capes, for instance, that's part of our kit to kids that want to join our Animal Hero crew. And we have, if you go on our website, beananimalhero.org, and look at the Animal Hero crew, you'll see all of the youth that are part of Animal Hero Kids, soon to be an Animal Hero. Anyone that is good at PR or that would be really, helpful at this point, because we need to get the message out. And I'm pretty experienced at news releases for actions, having been an activist for so long. But as far as book promotion and film promotion, that's a whole other ball game, really. So any help with that? And of course, if anybody has land in Florida, I'm going to ask for everything.
Ask for it all.
Then that would be really helpful, because I have I've been involved with education centers before, but it's been what I think of as not consistent animal groups, whereas they want to have a barbecue for a fundraiser and it's not vegan barbecue, so I've never really had that. And it's so important, because currently we do not have an alternative to SeaWorld, to circuses, to Fairlife, that all of these dairy farms that have kids come on where they learn how it's necessary to take the baby from the mother because the mother might harm them. And same with the the stalls, why they have to put pigs in stalls, and they are, and the 4-H club. We don't have a bricks and mortars field alternative that is accessible to in the populated areas of, like, the Palm Beach County School District is where I am. So so if anybody's watching that has the resources or might know someone that has land in Palm Beach County, help us make our dream come true and help a lot of animals, because this is how you help animals. You prevent animal abuse. You foster empathy so people cannot be cruel to animals. That's the only way that we're going to stem the onslaught, really, the running tap of animal abuse. We have to turn it off, the tap. Otherwise, we're just running around getting little buckets and little cups. We have to stop it at its source, and that is fostering empathy, and in a big way. And I believe that an education center is one of the ways to do that, because of course with social media and the kids coming there, and it just spawns, it would spawn a whole, circle that reaches all over. And the same with the books, really. The books and the films have the capacity and the potential to reach many people. So you asked.
Yeah, thank you. And whoever's listening, please join forces. One of the things I was thinking of, I went to the first wellness center I went to when I became vegan was Hippocrates Health Institute, and it's in West Palm Beach, Florida. And even them, doing some pro bonos and allowing you to do some events there would be great, like to bring in the families maybe of all the people that are there healing cancer and diabetes and other things that can be through food. So yes. Well, thank you so much, Susan. And so people can reach you at beananimalhero.org. And I know that you work tirelessly. You're like our Silas Rouse of the world and Dr. Will Tuttle, who, they never stop sharing the message. So thank you, Susan, for being one of those people that seen and cared at 9 and started forming your own groups of people to protest against the cruelty to animals. And
anyone can help. Anyone can help. I mean, it's amazing that the power we have at our fingertips today with social media and the internet, and so anyone can get the message out there. You never know what might resonate with people. So anyone can do this, to be a hero to all species of animals. And I use that, be a hero, because it's, again, attractive to the mainstream or the pre-vegans. So it's not just something I'm, pulling out of the air because I like the sound of it. It's an actual, tactic, whatever works. So
thank you for your work, Susan.
Thank you so much. And I'm one of your million dog mothers. I'm joining as a dog mother. So
yes, and an honorary grandmother, vegan grandmother, with all the children you've mentored, and we're able to have a huge impact the way with that unconditional love of a grandmother, but also maybe a little bit more, ability to shift the family because of everything that you bring to the table. So thank you very much, Susan.
Thank you so much. Lovely to speak with you.
Lovely.